Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity. I'm here back again because it is time for more Star Trek episode polls. Da da da. So, if you're watching one of these for the first time or just finding my channel, basically I do reviews of random Star Trek episodes from each of the the first five, the original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise. And I choose 5 episodes from each of those 5 shows at random. I chuck them up on a poll, and then I let all of you, decide by voting in the poll which episode I will review next. And then I slowly turn out these reviews as we go over the next couple of months. So, as I said, I determine these episodes, which ones will be in the poll. I determine them randomly, which is what this video is for. So I turn to my trusty friend, the random episode generator and the random number generator for Enterprise, because the episode generator fails me when it comes to Enterprise. So I just do the number generator. Anywho, I choose 5 episodes at random. So let's get into this. Let's get this started. Alright, so let's get started with the original Star Trek series, and the first episode is That Which Survives. Now, apparently, this is when Kirk, McCoy, and Sulu are trapped on a planet, and this hologram or robotic woman is kills people with a touch. Apparently, a lot of people really hate this episode and thinks it sucks. I always liked it when I was a teenager. Of course, nowadays I might not like it as much. Now I'm a bit older and wiser, so I'd be interested to review that one. Tholian Web I already reviewed, so I'll skip that. For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky. They used to talk about how ridiculously long this title was, but then Discovery had a couple of really long and more pretentious sounding titles, so I think it's worse. Anyway, my sister really hated this episode. I don't remember hating it that much. I remember just thinking it was kind of okay. McCoy gets falls in love with this woman in an instant and wants to spend the rest of her. Okay, I can see how this is terrible. Anyway, next episode. By Any Other Name. I always liked this episode. Speaking of my sister, she really just reviewed it and really liked this episode too. Sees it as a bit underrated. I always see it too. It's about these aliens trying to conquer the galaxy by taking over the Enterprise. Interesting. Anyway, Plato's Stepchild. This episode's terrible with the on Tweedledee and Tweedledum, but it does feature the first interracial kiss, I believe, in television, so would be interesting to review that one. And then Obsession. I've always hated this episode. Now, to be fair, when I originally watched it, it would tape it off the TV. For some reason, we missed the first 10 minutes of this episode, so I felt a bit lost every time. Maybe that has something to do with why I never got into it. I never really identified with it, and I never bought the background of Kirk being obsessed with killing this stupid cloud creature. It always seemed dumb to me, so if you want a further explanation, we can go into that. Yeah, sure. So those are your options for the original series. So now let's go have a look and see what's up with Star Trek The Next Generation. Good old TNG. So we start off with Imaginary Friend. Speaking of my sister, again, she always hated this episode when we were growing up. That was the worst thing ever. I remember when I watched this somewhat recently, I thought it was okay. It's not what I would call a good episode, but I actually really liked the child acting. I think it was exceptional child acting. Well, mainly from the real life girl, the imaginary friend girl. Her actor wasn't all that great, but it's an interesting concept, but it was a bit silly. Anywho, Heart of Glory, first season Klingon episode. As first season goes, they try to do Klingons. I think the Klingons, they got them much better in later seasons. This episode's just it's whatever. Night Terrors, Eyes in the Dark. I have mixed feelings about this episode. Part of me likes it. There's part of it that's really spooky. I think I put it in my top 10 scariest episodes of Star Trek. But it's also a bit silly, particularly the shit with O'Brien starting a bar fight and a guy has to bring out a face. That was really dumb. So I can cover that one if you like. Conundrum! Ooh, what a conundrum to decide whether or not to predict this episode. See what I did there? Ha ha ha. So, which one? Oh yeah, this is the one where everyone loses their memories and there's Duffman pops up and he's like, acts like he's the first officer. Why doesn't he act like the captain? I couldn't tell you. But, that's what I think about this episode. It was this interesting concept. Some things they did well with it. Other things it's kind of like, I don't know. Season 5 is kind of average. Next episode is Attached. So this is when Picard and the Crusher are attached. And this episode would have been way better if they actually got Picard and Beverly together by the end. If they actually hooked up at the end of the episode and became an item. But apparently the producers wouldn't let them because Picard had to be single so he could have romance interest in the movies, which he only had one, and that was an insurrection. That romance interest was terrible. That movie sucked. So it was a waste of time. They should have actually put them together. God damn it. But anyway, and it features these aliens that are silly and goofy and like overly paranoid. So it's a goofy episode. So I can cover that one if you like. So that's TNG. That's TNG for you, your TNG options. So now let's go to DS9 or D Space 9, which I believe is the same number of syllables as DS9. My friend used to make fun of why you even abbreviating that. Anyway, here we go. Alright, D Space 9, let's go for it. Favor the Bull, which I already reviewed, so let's go to the next one. Paradise. Longtime supporter of the channel, Cardinal Doomsday, despises this episode with a passion. I just think it's okay. It's a bit silly. I like Cisco standing up to this woman, but grantedly a lot of people like hate this woman. Plus everyone like decides to stay on this planet where they've been kidnapped, abducted, and lied to their whole lives. It doesn't really make any sense. But it's an okay episode. I can review that one if you like. The Search. Did I do the Search? Oh fuck, I think I did the Search. Hold on, I'm going to have to pause this and find out if I did the search. Yes, I did do the search, and someone was recently, so I'm not sure why I don't remember that. But anyway, you can check out my channel, it's already there. So let's choose another one. A Man Alone, the first terrible episode of Deep Space Nine. I think I put this in like the bottom 10, bottom 20 worst episodes of the show. It's so goofy. You have a Simpsons crowd being like, going after Odo for no good reason. And the freaking murder mystery is so contrived and obvious, but say to that episode. Next one is Bada Bing Bada Bang. I did of course cover this when I did my series of the top 10 worst episodes of the entire Star Trek franchise, which I still wholeheartedly, absolutely full in will stand by till my grave, to my death, that this definitely is one of the worst episodes of the entire Star Trek franchise. Even though a lot of people are wrong and think that it's not, but it is. But anyway, I've already covered that, so you can check that out on my channel already. Till Death Do Us Part. Ooh, let's get into the 10 episode arc that ends the season, which I love, although this is I think the second one in that arc, which is kind of a bit soap opera-y, and the first 2 episodes in the arc are kind of just a little soap opera-y and okay, but they can set the stage for the greatness that comes later. I can review this one if you like. I think this is our 4th option. Adversary, I already did it. Jesus. Okay. The Homecoming, The Circle, and The Siege. I've been wanting to do this. I like stick it up in Patreon polls every once in a while and they never go for it. So here's another chance. I'll stick it up on this poll, see if you guys go for it. I'm going to do the whole Circle trilogy, The Homecoming, Circle, The Siege, which I actually think is really good. I think it was a great way to start season 2. I think it's underrated. I quite like it. Alright, fun option for Deep Space Nine is Destiny! You're my destiny. This episode was okay. It's about this Bajoran warning about some prophecy because these Cardassian scientists are coming on board and they're trying to. Sisko's trying to navigate being the emissary. I thought this was a much, much better emissary episode than the one they did in season 4, Accession, or however you pronounce it. I don't give a fuck. Which I thought was terrible. But this one, I hold this up as the better example of the emissary type episode. So anyway. Alright, that's our Deep Space Nine options, and I can live with it. I can live with it. Anyway, let's get into our Voyager, Voyager options. Star Trek Voyager. Sorry. Promised myself I'd never do that on my YouTube channel. Anyway, Unforgettable. This episode is very forgettable. It's about this, alien coming on board who apparently has the memento effect on everyone around her. Like, they lose their short-term memories of her as soon as she leaves, and she had this romance with Chakotay that he doesn't remember. I don't know. As I said, a forgettable episode. Anyway, next one, relatively, I already reviewed this on my channel. You can check that out. Someone to Watch Over Me. This is actually a good episode, even though it's a silly, comedy. But again, what would have saved this episode is if the Doctor and 7-9 actually hooked up, which is what the writers wanted to do. But again, the producers are dickheads and prevented them from doing this. For this time, I have absolutely no idea why. It's because Rick Berman is a moron. That's why. Anyway, next episode is Elogium. This is a stupid season 2 episode where Cass can conceive, and she wants to know who to conceive with, and it's when Tuvok says to Janeway that they lost their sex appeal. The next episode, Blink of an Eye, which I again already covered in my channel. You can check that out. Repression. This episode is terrible. It's the 7th season episode, which this Maquis guy reunites the Maquis and gets them to take over Voyager with this Bajoran guy who's in the Alpha Quadrant. He does it for no fucking reason whatsoever, and it's so dumb. It's a stupid episode. Anyway. Final option, worst case scenario, I already reviewed. Again, you can check that out on my channel. And after that, come on, give me another option. Random thoughts. This is a random episode that's kind of forgettable again. About B'Elanna gets pissed off when she's on the planet with a bunch of telepaths and then capture her thoughts and sell it on the black market. Kind of an interesting idea, I guess, but it's kind of whatever. Anywho, those are Delta Quadrant options for you. Those 5 lovely options. And now let's go blast from the past back in the prequel era and to the Enterprise, where I have to use the stupid random number generator, which takes a bit longer, but here we go. Our Star Trek Enterprise options. So tech time for Star Trek Enterprise. Let's get a season 1. I always forget. Is this 26 episodes? I think so. Alright. Season 1, episode 6. Terra Nova. Was I right? Yeah, I was right. Okay. So Terra Nova is your first option. Yeah, I mean, not the worst episode ever, but it's pretty bad. It's your typical terrible season 1 Enterprise episode that's this guy's being obtuse and Archer's being obtuse, and who gives it? I don't know. It's just a bad episode. So let's get into our next option for Enterprise. Season 2, I believe it's 24 if I remember. Episode 3. Season 2, episode 3. That is going to be Minefield. It's actually not a terrible episode, particularly as season 2 Enterprise episodes go, because there's a lot of stinkers. And this one was actually just okay. Reed gets caught in a minefield with the Romulans are threatening the ship, and Reed's being a dick to Archer or whatever. So it's kind of a meh episode, which is better than being a shit episode, which most of the episodes this season were. No, it's 26 again. I was wrong. Okay, doesn't matter. Anyway, that's the second option. Let's go for the third option. Is going to be season 2. Episode. I gotta choose the episode number. 26. Right. Episode 1, which is Shockwave. I've already done that, so let's try again. 15. Ceasefire. Again, it's like not the worst thing ever. Is Andorians and Vulcans trying to make the truce, and the Saval ambassadors being a dickhead to Archer because he always is. And yeah, I think this is the episode he actually first starts to appreciate Archer. But anyway, here we go. Next option, season 3. Thank you very much. I believe it's 24 this time. Is it, or is it 22? Let's say 24. All right. Season 3, episode 1. Without looking, I'm going to say that's the Zindi. That's the episode where Senator Vreenak shows up and goes, "It's a fake." It was kind of a slow way to start the Zindi story arc. It was just an average episode, not that great. Yeah, it was 24. God, right again. Alright, so next option. Season 2 again. Episode 9. Season 2, episode 9. Singularity. Ooh, the Reed Alert episode. I think this ended up on a poll before an almost one. I would like to review this episode just so I can trash it and make fun of it. This is almost like a so bad it's good episode. It's when like they get close to Singularity and they all start like getting obsessed with the thing they happen to be working on at the moment. Like Archer's obsessed with his speech, and Hoshi's obsessed with cooking a meal, and Trip is obsessed over a chair, and of course Reed is obsessed over his Reed Alert. Reed Alert is the stupidest fucking thing. I hate this episode, but in a good way. Anyway, those are your Enterprise options. So those are all the polls, all the episodes that will be in the polls. You will find all of these polls. Links to them in the description just below me. I use the Straw Poll website for these polls, so just click on the links. I have one for each of the 5 polls, and you can vote in each of the 5 polls once, please. And no trickery to vote more than once. And shortly thereafter, I shall determine who wins at the time I'm starting to record the video, and whichever episode's winning I shall review. In the case of a tie, I shall choose which one I personally would like to do out of the ones that are tied. And yeah, so the original series I might leave like a couple days for that because I want to get started on that right away, but then of course like it will take me longer to get to the other ones. Enterprise will probably be like a month or so from now. Anywho, thanks so much for watching. And be sure to check out my channel for all these Star Trek videos, and more coming, whatnot. And see you next time.